Good afternoon. First, let me thank all the members of the media for their extensive coverage of this very, very serious storm in the state of North Carolina that's impacting us from the coast all the way to the Charlotte region and the center part of the state. This is a very, very serious and deadly storm, and I'm going to be reviewing some of the casualties that we've already had. But let me first, in case you're not going to listen to all of this press conference, we need to let the people of North Carolina from Raleigh all the way east stay off the roads, stay in your house, watch the football games on TV, bunker up, because at this point in time, there are deadly conditions from Raleigh east at this point in time. Very serious flooding, very serious winds. And as a result of that, we've already had loss of life, and we don't want any more loss of life in North Carolina due to this very, very serious storm, because conditions are going to get worse from Raleigh east. In the central part of the state, we have not reached the peak yet. It'll probably start slowing down around midnight in the central part of the state, from Fayetteville to Raleigh, across the Piedmont. And even the Greensboro area got hit with some of this hard rain too, 2 or 3 inches more than anticipated. I want to warn the people on the coastal areas. I've been talking to a lot of mayors and county commissioners throughout the day that I believe that some of the people there, not the leaders, they clearly understand it, but some of the people go, well, it's not that bad at this point in time. What we need to clearly explain that this storm went inland. And as it curved around Wilmington, much of the scattered storm went to west, to North Carolina. And as a result of that, there's a lot more rain, scattered rain, but very intense rain that is doing some major flooding. That storm is going to move back east, back to the coast between now and midnight, and the coastal areas will get very high winds and a lot of rain and precipitation in the coastal areas, going by the Outer Banks, going by Morehead City, and again hitting almost every beach area of North Carolina. So I think they assume it just went straight to them, but it's actually curved to the left, and then it's coming back down again during the dead of night, where they won't be able to see the very dangerous conditions on the coastal areas. And so everywhere between Raleigh and those coastal areas throughout the night could be extremely dangerous conditions. Just here in Raleigh, for example, coming from the executive residence to the operations center, there are a lot of downed trees. Wade Avenue is blocked right now in Raleigh, and there's a lot of other roads being blocked at this point in time. There are already a lot of power outages, which I think that we have over 200,000 people with power outages right now in North Carolina, and it's probably going to get a lot worse. My own house in Charlotte, my wife just called and said our power is out at our house. And but so from Charlotte east, we're seeing some major power outages. So Duke Energy and co-ops are going to be working very, very hard. But again, as we warned earlier, this is a deadly storm. And so far in North Carolina, I'm sad to report that we have had 3 fatalities from this hurricane up to this point in time. We lost a person in Sampson County due to hydroplaning, very, very treacherous road conditions. We lost 2 people in Bladen County with a submerged vehicle. And I need to wake everyone up here. If you're driving from Raleigh east right now, there are already conditions even here in Raleigh, just a few blocks from this emergency operations center, which the roads are closed at this point in time. So we do not want you to be driving. And we have already lost 2 lives tragically lost in Bladen County due to a submerged vehicle. Again, I'm urging all people to stay off the roads from Raleigh east, and even some of the areas west of Raleigh toward Greensboro that are still getting some very serious rainfall. The mayor of Fayetteville, who I'm just talked to within the last half hour, he couldn't say it any stronger. Nat Robertson wants the people not only stay off the roads, get off the sidewalks and quit walking around. It is very, very dangerous conditions right now in Fayetteville, North Carolina. and they're seeing floodwaters like we haven't seen, and as you know, they were flooded just last week. So he is wanting to take every powers he can to get people off the street, both in vehicles and pedestrians at this point in time in Fayetteville. We also have reports at this point in time on roads of fallen trees and isolated flooding in many counties throughout central and eastern North Carolina, in which there are many roads closed at this point in time. We have reports of high water on I-95 near mile marker 70, and I know earlier today there were concerns about a dam breaking near I-95 outside of Fayetteville. So we're keeping track of that at point in time. We're working very hard to get debris off the road as quick as possible, but more than anything, we'd like to keep the people and the cars off the road. We expect more roads to close within the next 24 hours due to this debris. Owen Hill Road in Bladen County is closed in both directions due to a dam rupture. Hoke County reports that 2 dams are near failure, and some homes are being evacuated at this point in time. So if you're in Hoke County, please listen to your broadcast and stay in touch. Those are very, very serious issues. Again, we have 200,000 homes without power at this point in time in 65 counties. We have 59 shelters that are open in 23 counties already with almost 1,000 people. We anticipate that number to increase tonight, and we want to do everything we can to help them. The utility companies, both the co-ops and Duke and other companies, again, have about 5,700 line workers, tree crews, damage assessors, and support people who are many stationed right out of Raleigh, who are being dispersed, including right here in Raleigh, which was unexpected because my house in Raleigh power just went off within the last 30 minutes. So I'm having good luck there at both Charlotte and Raleigh. The wind forecast, we'll see 50 to 65 mile an hour per winds with gusts up to 75 to 85 miles an hour through Sunday evening across southeastern North Carolina. You're going to see a lot of trees come down, and I've already seen several on the way here tonight. Our rain totals have increased from this morning. The heaviest rainfall is expected from 2 to 5 p.m. today, especially in the central part of the state. Eastern North Carolina will have 10 to 15 inches. Central North Carolina will have 5 to 10 inches, and Western North Carolina could see 3 to 7 inches. Again, we are expecting extreme rainfall leading to life-threatening flooding across eastern North Carolina during the next 24 hours and maybe even longer as we see some rivers crest during the oncoming days, which we'll review in a few minutes. And I want to put this in perspective. We have some models right now in some rivers that could be cresting Monday and Tuesday right now, and we want to warn those people of the potential cresting of these rivers. 507 buildings, according to our model, are at risk right now in Burgaw. 158 buildings in Chicopin. 110 buildings in Greenville, I think near the airport area. 59 buildings in Kinston, and 9 buildings in Tarboro. Those are just examples of some structures that could be flooded within the next 48 hours based upon the rivers rising in each of those areas. We're also concerned right now in Lumberton, there is some danger of a levee breaking. And the officials there are looking at that very closely, and there is a potential evacuation of hundreds of people in which hundreds of buildings could be, or structures could be impacted on the other side of that levee. So Lumberton, we're also very concerned about at this point in time. Along the coast, again, the storm is going to be coming back to visit you in the next several hours and will be with you throughout the night. We are expecting significant beach erosion along our coast, 5 to 7 feet in areas south of Cape Fear, 2 to 4 feet from Cape Fear to Duck, including portions of the Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds. These storm surges could lead to flooding of coastal roads and damage to a lot of structures. The storm surge will be highest with high tide Friday night and early Saturday afternoon. So we're fairly fortunate here. I think the tide's going to be going out later on, and that should be very beneficial to us. Over the next 48 hours, there is now an increased threat of tornadoes also across eastern North Carolina. There have been several threats up to this point in time. I don't think anyone's been designated, but we are worried about potential tornadoes, especially in the east. We've already talked about the downed trees and the flooding and the dams. I talked to Commissioner Troxler. He's got a great deal of concern about the farming industry being severely damaged due to this rain. The peanut crop is in severe jeopardy. We've already lost a lot of peanuts due to the rains in the last 2 weeks, and he all but stated to me that there's a good chance that literally millions of dollars of crops could be lost, and that's a lot of people's livelihoods throughout eastern North Carolina. He's also watching all the other crops that could be damaged at this point in time, from sweet potatoes to cotton. This is not the time for this amount of rain to have, so our prayers are with the farming community and the agricultural community at this time. So we're really watching the rivers near Windsor, the Tar River near Greenville, and the Cape Fear River near Burgaw. And the main issue we're going to have with them is the cresting probably on Monday. So we really won't know the real impact until Monday and Tuesday. Again, for drivers, stay off the road if at all possible. If you see water, turn around, don't drive through it. And please stay away from all power lines. Do not touch the power lines, report the downed power lines. And if a power line falls across your car, stay in the car. If you must get out of the car due to fire or immediate life-threatening situation, do your best to jump clear of the car and land on both feet, and be sure no part of your body is touching the car when your feet touch the ground. But otherwise, stay in the car, call 911, and get emergency help there immediately. There are a lot of power lines that are now already hidden by debris and standing water, so please be extremely careful about moving around in damaged areas and around any water, because there's a lot of danger in that water at this point in time. Our team is doing an outstanding job. We're relocating a lot of troopers at this point in time, guard vehicles, trucks, swift water boats. It's an amazing operation that we have here in Raleigh and at our other facilities. And I want to give Mike Sprayberry a lot of credit. Our spreading out of resources more than 48 hours ago was probably the best call that the leadership to my left made, because at that time they were expecting almost all the damage to be in the southeastern part of the state, but that is not the case at this point in time. It's hitting literally half the state. So I want to commend my team for making the good call of having centers from New Bern to Williamston to Kinston and other areas with a good distribution of ready resources to help the people of North Carolina. So with that, we'll be glad to answer any questions. And through this nighttime is when we really need to be safe. During the darkness is when things are most dangerous. So stay off the roads right now. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Are there any plans, local roads are, some of them are blocked because of flooding, but major highways, any plans to stop traffic on those?
There are plans, and we have barricades. By the way, I just talked to a sheriff I just talked to the Fayetteville mayor, and we're having to send more barricades because of the number of closed roads in Fayetteville. And right now, they're having police officers block the roads, so the state is immediately getting them barricades, so we aren't using so many police resources to stop cars. But the issue in Fayetteville, just don't get in your car. But that would be very helpful, and the mayor is pleading for that at this point in time, because we have a lot of road closures. And I-95, we're looking right now, and I-40, we've got potential for road closures at this point in time, and a lot of back roads too, including Wade Avenue, not far from here, is closed at this point in time, a large portion due to a tree collapsing across it that made my car take a detour to get here. Any other questions?
Any word on curfews or evacuations
Right now, each area is making their own decisions on potential curfews and evacuations. So, because the dilemma we have is each beach area has a different topography. So we're allowing them to make that decision. I do know the mayor of Fayetteville is going through that consideration process right now in his own state of emergency because of the serious flooding there. But each regional emergency operations team is making those decisions. And that's why we're extremely concerned that these areas right here need to recognize that the storm's going to come back and hit them again. And that's where the danger could really come about. Any other questions? Again, I do want to thank everyone who's been a part of this communication effort. And both the local media and national media are extremely important to us to get the word out, because if you get the word out, we can then potentially save lives. And that's our major goal, is we don't want to see any more loss of life in North Carolina or anywhere else in our country regarding these storms, and we want to do everything we can to also make sure that we don't put our first responders in jeopardy in trying to help someone who should have been home at this point in time. Water is extremely dangerous, wind is extremely dangerous, electricity is extremely dangerous, and those are our major concerns at this point in time. So be patient, be safe. If your power's on, watch the football games from home. If your power's not on, be patient, get to know your family members, play checkers and cards, and be safe, and don't step outside at this point in time. And then after the storm leaves, be very careful about resuming as though everything's normal, because again, most of the deaths that we've seen during major storms have occurred after the storm's already left. And that's my major concern right now along coastal areas. They may think the storm's out or done, and our lights are flickering here as we end this press conference. So again, I'd like to thank the Guard, our DOT, our Highway Patrol, our public safety personnel, and especially the management personnel who have not gotten a lot of sleep during the past 48 hours. Thank you, and God bless each one of you. We'll see you tomorrow morning.